Hello everybody, I'm Chris Provost, and today I'm going to tell you why these three colors are the single most important colors to Disney right now, particularly to Disney stockholders and to the board of directors for Disney. These three colors. Yeah, blue, green, and white. And I get it, same colors as Provost Park Pass. That's a little quinky-dink, but I also think it's kind of cool. These are the three most important colors to Disney, and I'll explain to you why. What? Yeah, these three colors mean everything to Disney. All right, let's get into this. Now, before we get going on this video, I have to explain this. What I'm about to present to you is my own research, my own thoughts. I'm not saying that I'm right or wrong. I'm just giving you what I think. What I want you to do is take that information and then you can dissect it. You can say, Chris, you're right. Chris, you're wrong. I'm just trying to say this is what I've observed and what I think is going on. I could be right. I could be wrong. I don't know. There's a lot going on here, a lot at play with the Disney board of directors. Let's get into it. Oh, hit the subscribe button. Got a whole bunch of new videos coming out. All right, let's hit the subscribe button. All right, here's what we're gonna do. In today's video, we're gonna talk about the Disney board. There's 12 people on the board. We're gonna talk about the three fights that are going on. There are three fights going on. We're talking about the Disney stock. We're talking about white, green, and blue, and what these mean to the Disney stockholders and to the board of directors, because they mean a lot. Let's get into it. The Disney board. All right, the Disney board consists of 12 members. There are 12 members currently on the Disney board. And the board of directors, they oversee the company, right? They are the ones that they oversee the company. Now you have what's called the CEO. We all know that Bob Iger is the current CEO of Disney. And the board of directors, Bob Iger in a way kind of reports to the board of directors. The board of directors could fire him if they really wanted to. They fired Bob Chapek, so they have that power. But the Disney board, it says, hey, you're the CEO, you run the company, we'll give strategic ideas and instructions on what you should be doing and telling you how to do some business. And then the CEO can either listen to that or not listen to that. But the board is really there to help guide the company, and that's important to understand. And if you are a publicly traded company, you're going to have a board of directors. That's just the way it is. All right. So now you know the board. There's 12 people on the board, and now there's three fights going on right now for this board of directors. So there's three different fights. I'm going to break down the three different fights. You can choose which one you guys like, who you're rooting for, who you're not rooting for. I'm not here to say which one is right or which one is wrong. I'm just here trying to tell you what is going on. Keep in mind, this is an incredibly complicated matter. So if I give some bad information or misinformation, or you think that I'm wrong with my information, put it down below. All I ask is this: be kind. Realize that you are doing a teaching moment for other people. Maybe people don't have experience with this in the stock market or board of directors, or doing a board directors takeover. Put it down and it'll help us educate everybody else. All right, let's get into it. Recently, before we get into the fight, I have to tell you this. Disney just had their quarterly earnings call in February, and after the quarterly earnings call, the stock jumped up a lot. It went from like $98 to around $110, $111, had a significant jump, which is important to understand. It's very, 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 very important that the stock jumped up after the earnings call. And Disney is leaning heavily into that to make sure, and they want to make sure that you guys understand that that they have this stock, the stock has gone up. Now, here's what's going on. There are three fights for board of directors, all right? And they all have their own color. You've got white, you've got green, and you've got blue. And what this means is if you own stock, it doesn't matter if you own 1 share of stock or 50 million shares of stock, you will be able to vote by April 2nd on who you think should be on the board of directors for Disney. That is a shareholder's prerogative. If you own Disney stock, you can vote on this. This is a voting process. And there are three ways to vote. You can vote for white, you can vote for green, or you can vote for blue. Okay? Now let's go through what each of these options are. So if you're a stockholder, you're going to get like a packet if you get a packet in the mail, you're going to have 3 cards in it: white, green, and blue. If you are doing it online, you could vote per ticket. You could either vote white, green, or blue. So this is what is going on. Disney is the white ticket. This is their ticket. This is what Disney wants you to focus on, this white ticket. If the white ticket wins, everything stays the same. The 12 board members stay the same. Bob Iger stays the same. Nothing changes. The plan of action stays exactly the same. That is the white ticket. And Disney just released, and I'll try to link it down below. They just released, I thought it was really interesting, a video. It's like a 2.5 minute video on YouTube, and it's a cartoon. and it's teaching stockholders how to vote. It's like saying, hey, this is how you vote. And they did it in this really cutesy way. They have like, what's it, the Baron von, whatever his name is. It's like, he kind of looks like Scrooge McDuck, and he's teaching you how to vote. They're just using stock animation. They're saying, you got to use these cards, and this is how you vote. Really, this is the first time I know that Disney has ever really done this. And I think that they're kind of tipping their hand to us. What they're saying is, they're nervous. They're a little bit nervous that the green card or the blue card could win. And so they're sending this out to everybody saying, hey, everybody, and if you watch this video, they unequivocally are like, vote white, vote the white card. Don't vote for the other cards. What do you do with the other cards? Rip them up, throw them away. Don't do anything with them. You just vote the white card. And they're sending it out to like stockholders so people can see this and teaching them how to vote. Why is Disney doing that? Well, I think they're nervous. I think they're very nervous, particularly because of the blue card, but we'll get into that in a second. So they put out this video and teaching people how to vote. And so this is what Disney's white card plan is. Their plan, I'm gonna go through all the different plans so you guys can decide which plan you like the best. Their plan is that they want, it's kind of like status quo. We're doing great, things are awesome. And I don't want to misquote people. So I have like all their quotes written down of what people are saying because I want to make sure we have correct attribution. All right. So now I'm going to read things, and this is verbatim. Disney Company sent out a letter to its stockholders, and this is what they said. They said, the Walt Disney Company is better off with Bob Iger at the helm and without board representatives from activists like Nelson Peltz, I think it's called Trian, Trian, not Trains, Trian or whatever it is, Nelson Trian Fund Management. Which I think is really interesting because here's the deal. We got to break this down. This is what they said. Okay, let me continue on. Then we'll break this down. Then he says, Disney is delivering ambitious growth plans, requires leadership of deep understanding of the company's current strengths and assets. Disney's board has a range of talent, skills, sets, experience, and professional backgrounds that are particularly relevant to the company's business and strategic objectives. With Bob Iger at the helm, alongside the board of directors and senior leaders in the company is intensely focused on building for the future. We already are delivering results. Okay, all right. Let's break down what they're saying there. First off, in the very first paragraph, they mention Nelson Peltz, which I think is odd because when you're doing business, it's the rule number one is you don't acknowledge your competitors publicly. Behind closed doors. Yeah, you talk about them all the time, figure out how to be better at them, but you don't mention them publicly. And the fact that in this letter to the stockholders, they're saying, hey, we're better off than being disrupted by Nelson Peltz and his Trian Group, fund management group, that lets me know Disney's hyper aware of Nelson Peltz and what's going on. They're so worried about it that they are telling stockholders, we're better off without this guy. They're actually acknowledging him. And there's some power there for Nelson Peltz, for sure, absolutely, for sure for that. And what they're saying there is they're saying, hey, we got all the pieces in place, and we're already starting to deliver results. And that's an important message that Disney's saying, is that we're delivering results. Keep that message in mind, because when we get to the blue card, that message is going to be flipped on its head, okay? So that's the white card. If you vote for the white card, then you're saying, hey, I like the way Disney's going. I like what they're doing. Let's keep it going. Status quo. It's status quo. Now, we need to talk about the green card. The green card. If you get your packet, you can vote for the green card. What is the green card? The green card is there's this company. It's called Blackwell's. Okay, and it's a huge, powerful company, and their big thing is really real estate. They do a lot of real estate, but they feel that they should be putting 3 board members on Disney's board. Remember, there's 12 board members. So they're going to kick off 3, and then they want to put 3 of their own people on Disney's board. And if you wanted to vote for them, you'd vote for the green card. So here's what they say here. This is what it is. Blackwell's, this is direct quote. The purpose of our campaign is simple. We want to ensure that Disney has the right collection of minds around the boardroom table working constructively together to make the decisions that will benefit all shareholders for decades to come. And in this statement, that word all is capitalized. So they're saying we want to make a decision for all shareholders. And I think that they're taking a little play out of the blue card. We'll get to that, but just keep that. Remember that. Okay. Continuing on with her quote. Blackwell's founder and chief investment officer Jason Anteby said these nominees, Jessica Schill, Craig Hatkoff, and Leah Sullivan, would support the company in respective media and content, real estate, and strategic asset review, and physical spatial computing and AI-driven experiences. Now, they're saying, hey, these are the three people we want, and they're going to help the company. And they said all these different things. We're helping with media, AI. But right in the middle, they said real estate, which is important. Remember that. Sometimes companies will couch their messages. They'll give you a whole bunch of things. They don't want you to focus on one thing here. But they said real estate. That's important to remember that. Continuing on with the quote, okay? This is where it gets interesting to me. The expertise... Okay, let's see. Yeah, the expertise of Hatkoff. Now, Hatkoff, if you notice, his name is Craig Hatkoff. He was one of the three people that the green card wants to put on the board. The expertise of Hatkoff, of New York real estate executive, extends to exploring all strategic possibilities with cold eyes. Now, when they say cold eyes, that means a fresh set of eyes coming in and just looking at something. They're not biased. They're saying, hey, we're just looking for the best possible return on investment. That's what that really means, okay? Including the potential, this is big, the potential separation of Disney into 3 entities, beginning with a management reorganization and leadership selection for each business, and resulting in standalone public companies, Blackwell has said. So they're thinking they're saying, hey, we might need to split up this company. It's too big. Continue on, the quote. Disney may simply be too complex for any one successor for Mr. Iger to manage holistically, and Blackwell believes it's the responsibility of the board to oversee these types of analysis in ordinary course. All right, so what they're saying is hey, the company's too big. We got to probably maybe split up the company a little bit and take a look at that. Now, this is also continuing on with their quote, okay? Blackwell's also floated the idea of Disney separating its owned real estate, which it says represents about 44% of the market cap at cost, into an independent, publicly listed REIT, R-E-I-T. What is a REIT? A REIT is a real estate investment trust. I don't know much about REITs and the trust and this is, all this real estate stuff. This is not my area of expertise. I didn't really deal with it very much. I just know a REIT is a real estate investment trust. It's a type of trust that, and they're saying that they want to put it out so publicly having a new company. I don't understand this. Somebody who understands this, put it down in the comments down below, because this is where it gets a little complex, okay? So going back here, independently publicly listed REIT or services and investment vehicles in which the shares cash interest could be distributed to shareholders. So the green card, Blackwell's, they're saying, hey, I think the company's too big. We need to put 3 people on our board, and we need to even focus real heavily onto all of Disney's their real estate. And let's take the real estate and pull that out and maybe put that in a REIT and have that become its own publicly traded type of company, and people can make money off of that. We can make it a little bit simpler, and they feel that it's just too complex. Now, I don't really know much about Blackwell's. I think that they are, I know that they're a very powerful company, and I know that they do real estate. So I think that's why they probably are mostly interested in the real estate options here for Disney. So if that's something that you guys like, then you would vote for the green card. If you're a stockholder, you vote for the green card. Now, we got to get the blue card. This is the one that people probably heard the most about, okay? The blue card, All right, the blue card, let me get my quotes here, is Nelson Peltz, okay? So if you wanted to vote for Nelson Peltz, you would vote for the blue card. And it's called Trian, I think is what this name of his company. Now, Blackwell's, the green card, they want 3 seats on the board. Nelson, he wants the blue card, they want 2 seats on the board. They says that they need to have 2 seats on the board. And Trian is seeking to have Nelson Peltz and former Disney CFO, okay? And CFO, that stands for Chief Financial Officer. Now, the top of the company, high as you go, is CEO, Chief Executive Officer. And they have what's called a C-suite. They call it C-suite. Most of them start with the letter C because you got like the Chief Financial Officer, Chief Executive Officer. Sometimes they call it the Chief Technical, CTO, like Chief Technical Officer. And these are like the highest up you get. This guy, Jay, was Rosludo, I think is how to pronounce it. He was the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer for Disney. So this guy knows a lot about Disney. He feels like and he worked at Disney, I think, for like 3 decades, was the CFO for a long time. He wants to be put on the board with Nelson Peltz on the blue card, okay? And so I need to break down what's happening with Nelson Peltz, because this is where it just is like, there's a lot of information here. I apologize. I'm trying my best to make it simple and it's easy for people to understand. Okay. Recently, in an interview, so after Disney did their quarterly earnings call, remember the stock jumped up. The stock went up by about $10 or $11. After that, in an interview, CNBC asked Peltz if he's going to share his sales if he ends up losing the proxy, because they're kind of insinuating like, oh, look, the stocks have gone up. People are super happy. They're not going to vote for you, Nelson. So you're going to probably lose. Are you going to sell all your shares and sell all your shares in Disney? This guy, keep in mind, when you're dealing with this, these guys, all of them, everyone, all of the men and the women at this level, they have large egos, right? They have to. They're making these huge decisions. They believe in themselves. Their confidence is incredibly high. I kind of liked his answer, though. This is what he says. And this is a quote. All right, so here's the direct quote they said. Remember they said, are you going to share, if you don't win this proxy fight, are you going to sell your shares? And he responds on national television, oh, come on, we're not going to lose. Okay, let's get that straight. That people who own the stock, they want action. They don't want promises, okay? That's not what they want. We're going to win. We never plan and state what we're going to do if we lose, because we don't lose. That's what he said. I was like, this guy's like, he's like, I'm not going to even talk about losing because we don't lose. And his whole thing was, he's talking a lot about saying that they want action. Stockholders need action and not promises. And this is important because this message, remember, after Disney stock jumped up by $12 or so, a lot of people are like saying, oh, Disney stock is back. Now, Nelson, he's like saying, no, it's not back. He says that they're just giving this, they're just saying all these things here. And this is what he said. And he's firing both guns, right? Right here. Okay, to continue on the quote. This company sells at a multiple of their procurements, and all of a sudden, they've awakened and they want to make all these announcements. By the way, there's very little meat on the bones of their announcements, Peltz said. This frenetic activity in the face of the proxy contest is not a substitute for well-considered corporate strategy, nor is throwing spaghetti at the wall going to feed shareholders who have been starved for returns for so long. Disney shareholders need the company to consistently perform under the watchful eye of a veteran board. That is a recipe for good eating. Okay, let me break down what he just said there. He said, hey, this is like a knee-jerk response. Disney gave all these really cool things. They announced that they're going to be doing like a special Eras tour with Taylor Swift. Going to be streaming that on Disney Plus next month. They announced they're going to be doing Moana 2. They announced they're going to be, I think, Fantastic Four is going to be announced. All these things. And he's like saying, this is all, and then he goes, all of a sudden the company's like saying, oh, we understand. We're listening to we're listening to our shareholders. We're listening to you guys. We know what you want. And Nelson's like saying, they're not listening. He goes, they're reacting and they're scared because of this proxy battle. So now they're pretending to listen to everybody. And they're saying, listen, we know what you want. So that's what we're going to give you. And we're going to do what you want. And he says, that's not a way you run a company. You're not all of a sudden like panicking because of a proxy battle. He goes, if the company was in good hands, this never would have been happening. This proxy battle wouldn't be happening. People would have been satisfied. And he's like saying, they're just throwing spade against the wall and just seeing what sticks and hoping everybody's just kind of like, okay, this is really great. Now, Nelson, he has this website. You can go to this website. It's called restorethemagic.com. Restorethemagic.com. And you can go there and he lists out what he wants to do, how he wants to like battle a company and how he wants to change the company and what he feels is Disney's doing good and what they don't feel that are doing good. And I'm just going to talk about a few of them real quickly. So, he lists corporate governance. And then he lists what Disney has said. Disney's plan is to preserve as much the status quo as possible by playing defense, evidenced by limited changes to compensation and succession promises. He says if he was on the board, they're going to adopt the best-in-class governance, finally complete a successful CEO succession, and have aligned management pay with performance. They shouldn't be paid if they're not being performing. That's what he's saying. And then they talk about streaming profitability. Disney's plan is they want to be focused on achieving significant and sustained profitability. And he says there's no guidance on this. And then he says his plan is they need to target and achieve Netflix-like margins of 15 to 20% by 2027. He has this all listed out. There's a whole bunch of them out here. You guys could go out and read a bunch of them. There's tons of things that he's saying that's going on. Now, the one thing that I thought was very interesting, though, he just got interviewed yesterday, Nelson did, and they're asking about this stock share, the earnings call, and say how the stocks went up, and he goes, yeah, it's smoke and mirrors. What I find interesting is Disney announced that they're going to do a $1.5 billion thing in video games. I think it's called Epic Video Games. He goes, but right after that conference call, when they started talking to the people on the board, they're like, well, what do you know about video games? They knew nothing. He goes, they didn't know anything. And so he was saying they're just hoping that this is people oh, look, we're investing. And he goes, but they don't have a plan. He goes, they're just literally trying to throw money and just hoping that this is working. That's his take. That is the blue card. That's the blue card that's going on. I don't know. These things get super complicated, guys. Super complicated. You got Disney saying, hey, everything's great. You've got Blackwell saying we got to split the company up, and then you got Nelson Perez saying we need better leadership. It's a complicated issue. Now, you might be asking, well, when is the vote? You have to vote by April 2nd. You can vote earlier, but you have to vote by April 2nd. You can go in and you can vote online, or you can mail in your cards, whatever you want to do. And I'll try to link that video down below of where Disney put that stockholder meeting video. You kind of watch it. It's very interesting to me. A lot of people are just ripping it apart, saying, they're like, oh my gosh, they're treating us like we're children. I don't think that. I think that they're just trying to educate people in a simple way and say, hey, vote for the white card, vote for the white card, vote for the white card, because I think they're nervous. So, all right, guys, if this is helpful, I don't know. This is a complicated issue. So put it down in the comments down below what you think. Who do you think is going to win? White, green, or blue? What's going to happen with the company? Is Disney turned a corner finally? Are they going back up? I do want to say this. This is my one little teeny tiny thought. This is just my own thought. Nobody said this, okay? So this is just my own conjecture. A great story is called 1984. This George Orwell wrote the story. And in this story, it was written a long time ago, but takes place in the future, which happened the year 1984. That's why it's called 1984. We're way past 1984, obviously. But when this story was written, that was way in the future. And in the story, 1984, the government's controlling everybody, they're observing everything, they're all observed. And this is what happens. I think one of the coolest things happens in this book is that these factory workers get 3 pieces of chocolate a day. 3 pieces of chocolate. On their lunch break, they get 3 pieces of chocolate a day. And then all of a sudden the company's like, no more, you get 1 piece of chocolate. And so everybody goes down, they lose all their chocolate. Now, every day at lunch, they get 1 piece of chocolate. And everybody just kind of is like, oh, there's nothing we can do about it. We get 1 piece of chocolate. Then after a little while, the company comes back and now gives them 2 pieces of chocolate for lunch, right? And people are kind of ecstatic. They're like, oh my gosh, we're getting 2 pieces of chocolate. And they're all excited about this. This is amazing. That is really an important concept to understand. They were at 3, but now they're excited because they got 2 because they had so much taken away. Is that what's happening with Disney stock? Because Disney stock was hovering around $180 to almost $200, and now all of a sudden it went from $98 to $110, and people are like, oh my gosh, we'll turn the corner. Are we just getting 2 pieces of chocolate and all excited about it, and we're all excited? Yay! I don't know. That's my own thoughts. My own thoughts. I'm not saying one way or the other. But you got to think these things through. Don't just believe everything people tell you. Do your own research. Vote the way you want to vote if you're going to vote. All right, guys, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. You guys are awesome. Have a fantastic day. Oh, and I want you to know that you are amazing. You are just as important as any of those board members. You are just as important as any of the stockholders. You are awesome, and you are absolutely amazing. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. All right, I need to do a little kind of recap because I kind of I forgot to circle back to certain points, and I want to do my own personal thought. This is just my thoughts. I think Disney, the white card, is most nervous about Nelson Peltz, the blue card. And I think that's why their messages say, we've got the best leadership, we're delivering results. It's because that's going directly against what Nelson Peltz has been saying for the last couple months. Then Blackwell's comes in and they're saying that they're trying to fight for all the shareholders, and they capitalize the word all. It's important. And I think Blackwell's is taking the message from Nelson Peltz, the blue card, because if you go back to his website, where he's been talking for the last several months, Nelson Peltz has been saying his big battle is he wants to fight for all the stockholders. It doesn't matter if you have 1 share or 50 shares. It doesn't matter. He's fighting for all of you. So I think that the Blackwells kind of took that message from Nelson Peltz and they put it into their messaging to the green card. So they're all kind of intermixing like this and moving around. I don't know which one's the best. I honestly don't. But I'm just trying to break this down. So I think Disney is more aware of the blue card. It seems like the green card is almost a distraction of what's going on. I don't know. Okay. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. The colors are green, white, and blue. Yeah, that matches the Provost Park Pass colors. Does Disney know about that? Does Nelson Peltz know about that? Does Blackwell's know about that? Probably not, but I think it's really cool. The colors are Provost Park Pass colors. Dun, da, 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 da. Green, white, and blue. Ba, 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 ba. Go pee, pee, pee. Yeah.